Welcome back to Canada and Canadian shit. The second part of the Haiti story. I'm Deanna Zed. Now, why did Canada want Aristide out of government? Money. Money, 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 money. Follow the money. So, Canadian mining companies, electrical companies, they all wanted a piece of a new Haiti. And so when the US Navy SEALs had forced Aristide to sign his resignation letter, the Canadian military had secured the airport, and the US soldiers had brought Aristide and flew him out. Well, at least he was flown out and not killed. That's a good thing. But things went from bad to worse. This is during the Liberal government of Paul Martin. So Canada then helped empower and entrench an illegal coup-installed puppet regime that launched a reign of terror in which thousands of pro-democracy supporters and pro-Aristide supporters were either executed, jailed without charges, driven into hiding, or exiled. Now, this Canadian-financed dictatorship, propped up by the UN-sanctioned occupation forces, was applauded by corporations who were greedy to profit from Reconstruction. The famous Reconstruction. Yeah, let's destroy a country and then we'll all go in and reconstruct and make money. And of course, the privatization of public services and wage slavery of Haitian sweatshops. So Canada really has a lot to answer for. And I'm going to talk about some of the things that Canada did. So the world's most powerful states, they justify their right to invade, overthrow, and occupy weaker nations. They rationalize their role in various theaters of war, using words like the need for humanitarian interventions against failed states. And Paul Martin, the Prime Minister at the time of Canada, he said, well, failed states, quote, failed states more often than not require military intervention in order to ensure stability. And asking himself, why is it up to Canada to be the catalyst? He then answered, we inspire confidence because we are neither a former colonial power nor a superpower. And immediately after the coup, 500 Canadian troops joined US and French forces in protecting Haiti's newly empowered illegal regime and suppressing Aristide supporters. However, if you go to the Canadian Air Force website, they say that the Canadian troops, quote, helped restore peace and democracy in Haiti following that country's democratic elections. And, in reality, the democratic elections, quote, that swept Aristide to power occurred in 2000. And Canada's troops helped overthrow democracy, not restore it. The claim that Canadian troops helped restore peace is ludicrous. During the coup's 2-year reign, thousands were murdered by the Haitian police and also by the disbanded military and death squads as foreign troops stood by providing cover. So not only did Canada fund and support this new puppet police killing machine, but Canada also supported the destructive neoliberal economic policies. So Canada helped devise, finance, implement, and legitimize a destructive neoliberal economic restructuring program called the Interim Cooperation Framework, the ICF. Within weeks of the coup, the ICF was drafted by lead donors, including Canada, at the World Bank's Washington headquarters. Now, as sponsored by the US, Canada, and France, the ICF focused on privatization and exporting inexpensive factory goods. While this benefited the Haitian elites, foreign corporations, and international financial institutions, obviously the poor people of Haiti suffered a lot. Now, in June of 2004, 31 Haitian civil society organizations listed major ICF problems. Those problems included that the whole exercise is taking place under an increasing loss of sovereignty and long-term military occupation, that it is controlled by external actors and excludes all real participation of the majority and the vulnerable sectors of Haiti. It ignores the priority social needs of the country's poor. It proposes superficial solutions to the poverty. Also that privatizing the electrical company, the Port-au-Prince Water Board, the telephone company, the airport, and the port authority will obviously have disastrous effects. And there wasn't any concern for transparency. Now, the ICF reinforced existing power structure. So it risked aggravating the suffering of the poor and exploited sectors. And it also accelerated the process of destroying Haiti. Some of the ICF's most harmful elements were noted by Canadian journalist activist Nick Barry Shaw, and that's Nick, N-I-K. They slashed subsidies for Haiti's impoverished farmers. They reduced the minimum wage, dismantled an extremely successful adult literacy program. It gave a 3-year tax holiday for large businesses, and it paid $30 million in back wages to ex-soldiers from the army that Aristide disbanded. So understand how this new puppet regime had the backing of the police and the military, because these control right-wing power freaks that Aristide, when he was in power, got rid of. Well, so now this puppet regime paid them off, bought them to come back and stomp on the people, kidnapping them, raping them, torturing them, and in a lot of instances, killing them. And then how exactly do you get a government to look bad and explain the reason why you need to oust them and throw in a puppet government? Well, Canada, the US, and France put a stranglehold on assistance to Haiti's government. External aid to Aristide's government was reduced. And after Aristide's second landslide election in 2000, aid to his party was cut. And by starving Haiti's popular government of resources, Canada deliberately fostered the failed state conditions whose pretext justified the 2004 coup. So most of the aid that Canada and the US sent after 2000 was not aimed at addressing basic human needs among Haiti's poor majority. It was instead funneled into relatively wealthy so-called democracy promotion groups linked to Haiti's elite corporate class. They also gave more than $500,000 into the coffers of the right-wing coalition. Now, my last point here is how an illegal justice system was imposed. So after helping oust Aristide's elected government, Canada dramatically increased aid to Haiti. Most Canadian financing went into police, prisons, and courts. So now the whole legal system was bought, and no justice was brought to the people. These institutions tightened the illegal dictatorship's grasp on power by persecuting its opponents. CIDA, which is the Canadian International Development Agency, which is the Canadian version of USAID. Okay, so CIDA funded and helped administer Haiti's Ministry of Justice, which coordinated the arbitrary arrest and imprisonment without charge of hundreds of supporters, activists, and leaders from Aristide's Lavalas party. During this coup regime period, there was a Mr. Vixamar. Who was he? He was a USAID appointed bureaucrat, Philip Vixamar, who was named Deputy Justice Minister. Okay, so now Vixamar was interviewed by human rights investigators from the University of Miami's law school. Vixamar revealed that the US and Canadian governments play key roles in the justice system, including paying high-level government officials. Now, he denied that there were human rights and constitutional abuses within the criminal justice system. Now, when asked about the warrantless arrests and reports that hundreds of prisoners had not appeared before a judge, Vixamar denied that there were any political prisoners in Haiti. And this lie was echoed by Prime Minister Paul Martin, who, when visiting Haiti in November of 2004, said, quote, "There are no political prisoners here." Thanks, Paul. Now, quickly, you might be asking, well, why didn't the people rise up and demand free elections? Well, the Lavalas meetings were not permitted and rallies were terrorized by police. US and Canadian governments spent tens of thousands on pre-election training for Lavalas opponents and supported anti-Aristide journalists. And the poor Lavalas supporters were disenfranchised by electronic voter registration, a whole bunch of difficulties for them. I have to go. I'm running out of time, but thank you so much for joining me, and see you next time.